normal QVC price, three-dimensional, extraordinary attention to detail. This is this award-winning, amazing Jim Shore, back on cue. We're live. And this is going to be 10.5 inches long, 5.25 inches wide, 4 3/4 inches high. Again, that stone resin, looking like hand-carved wood. Price goes up at end of day. Wow. Little masterpiece here, Mr. Shore.
This, it's large enough that you could use this the way Jan uses it. That's she's sort of a force of nature when it comes to decorating.
Yeah.
So she decorates.
And Jan is
everything. That's my wife.
Yeah, just so our viewers know that.
Yeah, everybody who is familiar with me knows Jan. But,
sure.
Yeah. So she'll use this as a centerpiece and then decorate, out from it. Like she'll put it in the center of the table or on the mantle or something like that during the season. And so but once again, the work that I love to emphasize what we do as far as painting. You can see here that it's, all of our paint surfaces are not just single color painting. It's a combination of floating, shading, glazing, and that's what brings out that, the sort of rich kind of homespun Americana.
Could you go through all three of those? You just said floating, glazing, shading.
Yeah, and so.
Which is which?
Well, the floating is this kind of work here. Now this looks almost airbrushed. Okay. That's done with a brush by hand.
Huh.
Okay.
Floating.
Mm-hmm. That's floating. Glazing is where we take a complementary color, and we do a very almost transparent surface over the original color, and it gives it that that rich look. And then we do dry brushing too. So you can see some of these areas here where with the carving almost looks like a sort of a filigree kind of visual texture. That's because we come back over it with
a dry brush,
a lighter color, and the brush it's almost like putting on makeup, where they just a little hint of it.
Almost a blending of it.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's the process. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, and I always like to emphasize that because this is a piece of artwork.
No doubt about it.
And
500 remain, by the way. Today only price. Going to be on later today, but if it sells out, it will not be on later today. It's going to be gone. So 4 easy payments of $17.50. So let's come into, so that's process. Let's come back earlier to vision and to what you wanted to create and what that vision was, because there's a lot going on in the embellishment of the pumpkin and of the grapes.
People ask me all the time about it's kind of like the dynamics of creativity, I guess you might say, and they wonder, well, how do you come up with the ideas and how do you get all this stuff? Because you come up with hundreds of pieces and you've done thousands of pieces and they're all different, but they're all identifiable as the same. How do you do that? To tell you the truth, I'm not exactly sure. But it starts out as an automatic mental image. So I see the word and I have a thought.
You see it finished?
I see it absolutely 100% exactly the way it will be finished.
Is that right?
And that process takes about a second.
It's there. It's like someone knowing a full song.
It's like it's already there and I just went and got it, I just pulled it out of the file cabinet or something.
Yeah, wow.
It's like mining the ideas and everything, and it's almost an unexplainable process. But
has it always been there?
It's always been like that, and it's just
like when did you discover that? Like you're 9, you're 15, you're in your 20s,
Well, the first thing I did that indicated that I was more artistic than the average person, I was about 4 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did
not even in kindergarten yet.
Yeah, and I was like, even all through school, I was used as the example, I mean, if we had an art competition, everybody else was vying for second place,
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to get back to that in a second because that's fast. I want to hear so much more about that. But I want my producers let me know that this is limited. If you want to get it today only price. Also, this is carved.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the carving, like a wood carving within the actual gourd here. It's fascinating. It's really beautifully done, and then all subtly painted within. So the turn of it, all of that, it's just beautiful. So what was that finished process that you saw? You saw the fruits, just the harvest kind of like falling out of this.
I can see these pieces in my mind in 3D and hold them there. And the first thing I do when I get the idea is, and we might have a list of 200 pieces for the season.
200?
Yes.
You saw them all?
I'll go down the entire list at a single setting, and then so everything is now figured out. And then when I go back and actually start the process, I remember what I thought of. It's an odd process.
Wow, that's wild.
It's kind of a mental thing.
So in this case, when you see it, and again, here's the update on it. For 4 easy payments of $17.50, work on Hello Fall. That's the name of the entire event. You've loved Valerie the first couple of hours. Easy pay up to 5 times. This is 4 easy payments of $17.50. The colors within this and the embellishments on this. Let's talk about that for a second, because it's the pumpkin, the carved pumpkin. But then there's more color that's added to it, Jim, more design that's added to it.
Well, that's one thing I think that, well, early on, that was what made my pieces stand apart. In our industry, as you well know, originality is what gets you to the starting gate. Well, at the time when I was blending all of these folk art elements, and that included, the rose mauling elements of, from Scandinavia, and the quilt patterning, and some of the German Fraktur and the Dutch Hendelupen, which all went together to form what we call Pennsylvania Dutch, which is actually Deutsch. It's German.
Yeah, I am German too. Is that how you would characterize some of the formulation of your work?
I think so.
Dutch?
I think so. That at least the motif, the decorative part of it. The rest of it, when I do something, I do it in a slightly primitive way, in that all the faceting of the carving and the knife strokes and the skews and the gouges and the different things that I use, I don't finish them. I leave them in the cut state so that you can see the facets that are created by the knife, and then that is what creates this visual, texture through our painting process. So,
when you're doing this, and here's for people who are shopping, the Heartwood Creek. This is part of the Heartwood Creek collection. Cornucopia with these big, bright, fantastic sunflowers. You're also using, in this case, really vivid colors. Like these are vivid colors.
Well, this is for the harvest, the bounty, the autumn of the year, and I think the autumn of the year is one of the more beautiful times.
Oh my heavens!
Color-wise.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I wanted to get across here.
Well, take a look at the colors you're seeing here. You're seeing that beautiful pumpkin. You're seeing the gourd. You're seeing all of those beautiful. all the beautiful grapes, and then the big bright sunflowers, and then all of these other accents that you called quilting. I think those were your kinds of words.
Well,
added to it.
That was the quilting patterning. Jan and I, we're quilt collectors, and Jan's a quilter. My mother was a quilter. My grandmother was a master quilter, and that's one of the things.
Your grandmother was a master quilter.
You
think you got a little bit of her artistic?
Yeah, she was
something handed down.
She was very artistic, as was my mother. And the thing about it, Rick, is when I was a kid, I mean, we didn't have very much, and we were kind of mill people, But
where'd you grow up? What state?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah, that's where I live today.
Yeah.
So, but because my parents were creative and artistic, they created a wonderful atmosphere for me to grow up in as a kid. You know, recognizing the fact that I was artistic.
They saw the 4-year-old even back in the day.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, we got more to come in the show. It's a 1-hour special with this guy. He's back.